And the Phil Knight legacy. We come to you today from the campus of the University of Portland for the first of two games, two unbeaten teams. Number 3 UConn taking on the Blue Devils of Duke. And this is what's still on the Thanksgiving menu. You get to see AZ Fudd and Duke take on, and UConn take on Duke. And yet we get to see Caitlin Clark later today as it's Iowa against Oregon State. We expect a lot of fans for the Beavers in here. And Carol Lawson, first time that she, as a head coach of Duke, is taking on the legendary Gino Auriemma. First time these two teams have met since the 2018 NCAA tournament. And what a treat. AZ Fudd. We get to see her play, one of the top scorers in the country. Pam Ward, along with Christy Thomas-Scuddy, longtime head coach, and the brand new head coach of the Connecticut Sun. Yes, Stephanie White is joining us for this one today. Caitlin Clark later. Come on. AZ Fudd right now.
And what hasn't she done? Through adversity, AZ Fudd has risen to the occasion. Last year, almost 60% of her points came from 3. Well, this year, brand new year, she is healthy, and you're seeing that because of her ability not only to create off the bounce, but to go through contact and finish at the rim. A true 3-level scorer this season. A lot is on AZ Fudd's shoulder offensively here today.
Well, she's carried it well. I mean, back-to-back 32-point games. You can see her numbers right there. She's been outstanding. And the question has been, in the absence of Paige Beckers, who's going to step up? It was AZ Fudd. But it's not just Paige Beckers. Ice Brady is out. Really was looking forward to seeing her play. And then Dorka Juhas gets injured. The great thing about UConn, everyone steps up. Quintessential UConn. You can see the numbers right here. All 4 players. Lou Lopez-Seneschal has been sensational early in her UConn career. Aaliyah Edwards has been anchoring in the paint. The surprise to me has been Aubrey Griffin. The way that she has come back after missing the entire year with injury, she adds a different dynamic with her speed and athleticism.
Yeah, Seneschal, the transfer from Fairfield. I already mentioned Carol Lawson. And there you take a look, a lot of balance, a lot of players coming off the bench. This is a team that has 8 new players. 5 of them are transfers to go along with 3 freshmen. And they are unbeaten, but Carol Lawson, we talked to her right before the game, said undoubtedly this is their toughest test. This is a UConn team that is coming off impressive back-to-back wins against 2 ranked teams, Texas and NC State. And here we go, this rivalry again revived for the first time since 2018 when Duke lost to UConn in the NCAA tournament. UConn's won 9 of the last 10 in this matchup. The last time Duke won was in 2006 in the NCAA tournament. And right away, AZ Fudd underneath. And here comes Duke in transition. They're going to want to push the ball a little bit.
I mean, offensively, Carol Lawson has said, we want this to be a track meet. They want pace offensively, and they want to try to slow UConn down defensively.
And you have to push with poise. You cannot afford to give UConn opportunities in transition. If they turn you over, which is what they've been doing, they get out and run.
And right away, that will count as a turnover, an offensive foul called against Duke. UConn with their lineups, a very skinny bench for them with all of the injuries. Fudd, Mule, Nika Mule at point guard. I think, Christy, that Coach Auriemma likes her.
You could just see it in the passion when he talked about Nika Mule. And let's be frank, Gino Auriemma knows how to coach a tough point guard.
He's had quite a few of them, hasn't he? She does, though. She brings this toughness to the team. I mean, her energy, her enthusiasm, her passion for the game. She elevates their intensity level.
The emotional leader,
yes,
to say the least.
First in the nation in assists, averaging over 10 a game. This is the Duke team. We heard Rebecca talk about it in the studio. They don't take a lot of threes. They missed the first one today. Griffin, who averaged about 6.5 points per game her first 2 years before the back injury. And she is bottled up. Good defense there by Kennedy Brown, a transfer from Oregon State.
Welcome back. And this is Duke's MO. I mean, they rely on the transfer portal. 75% of their points on the season are from transfers. But if you're Kara Lawson, you gotta love the defense so far by your team.
Yeah, I think the hard part when you're really depending on transfers is every year it takes a little while offensively to get into a flow, to get into a system. Much further along on the defensive end, according to Kara Lawson, as most teams, they're going to need a lot more of that from Cheyenne Day Wilson.
And then the stylish finish at the end. Day Wilson has not been shooting well. In fact, was just 2 of 13 from 3 before she hit that one. Numbers down a little bit. Here's AZ Fudd. Does anybody have a prettier shot than her?
And quicker release. It's so quick. She gets by you off the bounce, and before you can recover, the shot's out of her hands. That's Klay Thompson-like quickness, right, getting out of her hand.
Kara Lawson said that AZ Fudd is the best shooter in the country. Finally healthy after dealing with a foot injury last year. So much more on her shoulders with Becker's out this year. There's the steal. Fudd.
And that's what you can't afford to do if you're Duke. You have to take care of the basketball. UConn is turning people over almost 23 times a ball game.
And converting off those miscues.
Absolutely.
And I'll raise it another. I think shot selection for Duke will be important. A lot of threes that they take, and they don't make them easy runouts for UConn today.
2 in a row now for Day Wilson. Sophomore guard from Toronto, but then Aubrey Griffin beats everybody.
Because of an assist from Nika Mule. That was the baseball pass that Gino Auriemma was talking about yesterday, having to teach this new generation of point guards because they're just not on the playground playing like you and I used to do.
That's right. That touch, being able to get it over the floor. But look at Aubrey Griffin, the way that she gets down the floor. I mean, it's been a while since UConn has had a wing with her speed and quickness.
She's the disruptor.
She is.
I feel like.
And that's Lou Lopez Senechal. She's from France, but was a player of the year in the MAC last year. Leading scorer at Fairfield all 4 years, and it's been almost like a smoothest transition going to UConn.
Well, we all knew she could score. What I've been impressed is her transition to the defensive intensity that UConn requires.
Because that was one of the questions, with all due respect to Fairfield, stepping into this elite program. Aaliyah Edwards fouled as she hits the deck.
When you've got a high IQ, when you've got size, when you've got some strength, I mean, Lou Lopez Senechal is able to make up for a lot of that because she's a smart defender, because she plays her angles, because she uses her length.
Well, and I'll just say this. UConn's not made for everyone.
Right.
And it says so much about someone like Lou Lopez Senechal, who was the star at Fairfield. Every offensive set went through her, that she wanted this challenge, and she has risen in a big way to fill a void that's been created with Paige Becker's injury.
And that was one thing Gino Auriemma told us as Edwards goes to the line. He said, I couldn't play for me. I'm a, let's paraphrase here, jerk. So he realizes, as you mentioned, you need someone who, and he said, UConn is a place where you have to accept that you're going to come in and fail, and then he'll make you better. But so many young players now can't take failure.
Especially, go ahead.
Well, I mean, he's absolutely right. You know, that's a good life lesson, right? Like life skill. You have to learn how to fail. You're going to come in. He's going to put you in impossible situations day in and day out in practice, and he wants to see what you're about.
And there's a turnover, stepping on the end line, gets the ball right back to the University of Connecticut. I mean, Duke plays a lot of people.
Duke already has 2 turnovers, but the good news for them, both of those have been dead ball turnovers. Steph has said you can't allow UConn to pounce on those miscues, but so far it hasn't hurt them.
Elizabeth Balagoon checking in for Duke, number 4 in white, the well-traveled Elizabeth Balagoon, playing at her 3rd ACC school, first woman to ever do that. Georgia Tech, then Louisville, now Duke.
UConn's going to have that ISO all day long. You put AZ Fudd on the backside, they've got to hug her at the 3-point line. Edwards is going to get a lot of touches.
And Jordan Oliver, transfer from Baylor, gets it over to Celeste Taylor, transfer from Texas.
Good D.
Taylor with a little pull-up, wide right, but the putback, nicely done. Celeste Taylor gets the bucket, her 2nd year now at Duke. UConn with a very quick answer by Lopez Senechal. Balagoon, nothing doing. Aaliyah Edwards gets it quickly up to Mule.
And you can see in transition, really trying to check AZ Fudd early, but that's the difference right there. The quick pin away, the shot didn't go in, but they're gonna find ways to get her shots, even if it's not right at the three-point line.
There's a charge. Aubrey Griffin drew it.
Well, we were ready for the AZ Fudd show, and she is not disappointed. Creates space because she can drive to the rim on this jumper, and then it's the defense, the pick, and the transition easy too.
Welcome back to Portland, and for UConn, Associate Head Coach Chris Daly's update is a good one for UConn fans. According to Gino Auriemma, she's good. Daly arrived last night in Portland after not traveling with the team and, of course, having the scare last Sunday when she collapsed on the court and was taken off on a stretcher, although conscious and alert, and later released from UConn Health following an assessment. Of course, Chris Daly, such an instrumental part of this UConn success, 37 seasons, 11 championships, and the positive influence she plays with the program, so valuable. Great to see CD in good spirits today. Right when I walked in, I saw her pop her head out into the hallway and say, Gino, let's go. They're waiting for you.
And we had, thanks, Brooke, we had an opportunity to speak to her, and she said she had a virus and just was feeling a little woozy and was waiting for the national anthem. She said, if I could just get back to the bench. And then she passed out and fortunately gained consciousness soon thereafter and is okay.
But she was well aware that Paige Beckers moved into her seat on the bench, so she said she was sending some text messages like, hey, don't get comfortable there.
Yes. And it is terrific to see her back. There's the block shot underneath by Heidi. Balagoon spots up for three. Hey, they're shooting threes.
And that's got to be a good sign if you're Duke. Have not shot the ball from the three-point line very well. They can find some balance and getting out in transition, knocking down some shots. That will slow the UConn break.
Well, I think it'll open up driving lanes as well. But this is a Duke team that we've talked about, struggled from three, already has surpassed their average on the season.
That one is short. Griffin able to come up with the rebound. Duke shooting only about 21% from distance heading into this game.
We talked about creating defense and offense, and there's on the offensive boards right there, just active. Duke gets the ball, they push in transition, and Balagoon's stepping up and knocking down that three.
Duke is 3 of 6 from distance in this game. That one from Balagoon, a couple from Day Wilson, as Ayanna Patterson is checked into the game, number 34. A true freshman for Gino Auriemma, and another block shot.
Kara Lawson's got to be ecstatic about the interior defense of Duke so far in this game. UConn's getting paint touches. Unfortunately for them, they're not able to convert.
She said they are farther along defensively, certainly, than offensively. Has been pleased with that. All those players you mentioned, all the transfers trying to blend together. Shot clock into single digits now. Balagoon left open, and she made him pay.
And that's great ball movement. I mean, Duke shares the basketball as well as anyone in the country. They average 18 assists. Great ball movement and good player movement. Kept their spacing, able to get a high percentage look.
Well, you can tell Duke does not want this to be a one-on-one battle. And you're seeing that on both ends of the floor, how they're recovering for one another defensively, and then the extra passes you mentioned offensively.
Good defense on Fudd by Balagoon. And now Nika Mule goes up and under. Gino Auriemma said he'd like to see her score some more.
Yeah, she's just been deferring because she does have great scores around her. I mean, she's a true point guard in my mind. She is looking to set her teammates up first and foremost. And unfortunately, that hurts her at times.
Well, hey, this is a good game for future point guards to watch. When Nika Mule is bringing the ball down the floor, her eyes are scanning the entire time. Not just ball side, weak side. She's got her eye on who can I get the ball to. That time she didn't have anyone, and she just goes to the rim.
allowing others to get shots, only averaging about 4 points per game. And there's the freshman. Good defense again by Duke. Bud being face guarded by Taylor, and there's the three dropped in by Lopez Senechal.
I love how Lopez Senechal is always shot ready. Every time she catches it, there's not a lot of movement. She knows her feet are set, her hands are ready, and it goes up.
Steph, she's always been a good shooter, but she realized coming to UConn she needed to get stronger and dedicate herself throughout the summer, and she's even more fit than a year ago. I mean, she ran around a lot last year, but was mainly focused on one end. Now on both ends, she's having to put it up big for UConn.
Well, the ball movement, Nika Mule having her eye on her shooter. Look, you see that cut by AZ Fudd gives just enough time for Lopez Senechal to get open and knock down that shot.
Graduated from Fairfield, which is also in the state of Connecticut. Born in Mexico, but moved to France when she was a kid. Mule drew a foul as we see her at the free throw line. She is from Croatia. Dorka Juhas from Hungary is still out with the broken left thumb. Broke that against Texas. And will be reevaluated after this game. They're going to kind of take it game by game. There you see that big old bad brace on that left thumb. Largest lead of the game now for UConn.
It's the same hand that she injured last year in the NCAA tournament against NC State.
This time it was the wrist.
Steph, do you think UConn's going to go to denying that high post pass that's so critical in Duke's offensive flow?
I think, yes. I think Gino Auriemma is going to talk about that. I think they're going to make it more difficult. Certainly try to get them to catch that beyond the three-point line.
Vanessa De Jesus, number 2, the backup point guard, started for Carol Lawson, and she was a true freshman. And that's one reason why Gino loves Nika Mule.
And everybody else in the country.
I'm sitting here with a fist pump every time she's making a defensive stand. We know what she can do offensively, but when you talk about disrupting an offense, that is Nika Mule. Just quick hands, just disrupting, bothersome. Point guards hate defensive players like that, to be up and in you like that.
And multiple levels of effort. And then look at her face, that intensity, that emotion, that drive, that passion.
She was the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East last season. Whistle on the drive to the basket by Reagan Richardson. Played her college ball at Georgia before coming to Durham, and coming up after this game, Iowa, Oregon State. Caitlin Clark, little Monica Sonano.
Battle of some bigs in that one. I mean, we'll talk a lot about Caitlin. Battle of some bigs.
I just want to know how many logo threes we're going to get.
Steph White's in the house. I'm sure we're going to get a couple.
Now, PK logo is not, we've seen bigger ones. So if she's hitting one from the logo today, that's quite a heave.
Well, she's been finding her way to the foul line early in this season, which is definitely a good sign.
Concentrating more, posting up more as a guard is Caitlin Clark. We'll see them coming up against the Beavers. A lot of new faces for that team this year. AZ Fudd's been quiet for a while on the offensive end. And another good play on defense, this time by De Jesus.
I can't say enough about Duke scrambling. UConn's been able to get a step on their initial defenders, but the team rotations have been so good so far for the Blue Devils.
Fudd popped out.
Her. You cannot lose AZ Fudd, particularly on an out-of-bounds play. Miscommunication on the defensive end of the floor.
Fudd's second bucket of the game gets the lead back up to 9. First quarter comes to a close with players scrambling for the ball. Well, UConn ends that quarter on a 10-1 run. AZ Fudd and company up after the first. Ashley Jones did not have a good game yesterday scoring-wise, but Suarez was really impressive. We will see those two teams Sunday night, 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN2. That's the Phil Knight Invitational. This is the Phil Knight Legacy, so 2 different tournaments, 8 women's teams here in Portland this weekend, 16 men's teams. as you get a good look. And AZ Fudd not scoring, but doing so much still on the offensive end.
It's who she is. Everybody in the nation knows who she is, and Duke's defense knows who she is. So when she cuts, she's pulling defenders. So many eyes are on her that it's giving the rest of her teammates open looks.
You have to pick your poison, and you certainly don't want to allow AZ Fudd. You know she can score in bunches. She can't get any easy looks.
Well, and that's what you have to do as a coach.
Yep.
Who are you going to allow to try to beat you?
Caroline Ducharme, who was counted on a lot last year after the injury to their star Paige Beckers, Pam Ward, Christy Thomas-Scuddy, Stephanie White, and Brooke Weisborough joining you from Portland this afternoon. A couple of unbeaten teams going at it. We have Iowa and Oregon State later. Celeste Taylor rolls off. And there you talked about it, Mule. That time the pass got away from Edwards.
I know Gino's not going to be happy with Nika Mule, but I thought that was a really good look. I don't think Edwards had to go initiate the contact. She had a little on her. Just go to the rim and let your point guard find you.
Well, I thought she tried to hold that contact as well.
Yes.
She didn't need to.
Jesus looking over at head coach Carol Lawson. First time again that she has met up with Gino Auriemma, but when she was at Tennessee, not so good. That's good. As Kennedy Brown is able to go in and score. Tennessee lost a couple of national championship games to UConn when she was a player.
And that was subtle but heady by Nika Mule. She initiated that contact and basically made the official make that call.
I think she loves the contact.
She reminds me of a tight end in football. I mean, that's the toughness level that I see in her.
Mule inside, Ducharme, good tightrope catch.
And to your point, Christy, utilizing AZ Fudd as a screener. If you use her as a screener, her man's not going to help. So you're going to get those looks, slice into the rim. Not able to convert on that one, but that's something to continue to watch.
Balogun gets it over to DeJesus. Shot clock into single digits. Taylor goes in and Aaliyah Edwards rejects it.
Carol Lawson can't believe that foul wasn't called here. Edwards gets all ball up top. Actually, I agree with the officials. I thought it was more off balance by Celeste Taylor going in.
Brenda Pantoja, Tyler Trimble, Katie Buchanan are officials this afternoon. Edwards could not get to the rebound. Here's Balogun. UConn with a good job getting back on transition. Defense.
Nice pass.
That is nice into Balogun, but it wouldn't go down. Good pace to this game as we anticipated. Seneschal.
They just make you pay. You miss a layup, they make you pay. You turn it over, they make you pay. You shoot an out of rhythm, out of flow shot, they make you pay.
And Steph, we've talked a lot about UConn is the one team in the country that we feel like has truly been tested to this point this season. And that make you pay mentality, you wonder if Duke's non-conference schedule to this point has them mentally disciplined enough to face a team like UConn right now. 4-0, great. But you haven't faced a UConn yet.
Yeah, I think this is a great measuring stick for this team and this program to see, hey, this is where we are, and how do we get to where we want to go come conference play. Certainly, UConn will expose you. And look, at the beginning of the year, we weren't talking about UConn as a Final Four team. We weren't talking about UConn as a national championship team. They have been playing like a potential national championship team.
When you take Duke, because we've talked about the transfers, and we know this team's only going to get better and better. The chemistry offensively is going to continue to evolve for this team.
UConn right now, number 3 in the nation. And a tough schedule coming up. Gino Auriemma likes to play a tough out-of-conference schedule. Mule did not get it that time. Kennedy Brown comes down with it and then is hounded by Griffin. Day Wilson, a couple of threes early And then threw it away. Mule 3-on-1 for the Huskies. A couple of choices, a no-looker to Griffin.
You think Nika Mule crossed half court? It's like, who do I want to give this assist to?
Which one?
Yes.
And leading the nation in assists. And that was a pretty one. Taylor dials up the three. Good box out by Griffin.
UConn excels when they can get out in transition, and they can do it in a lot of different ways, but Nika Mule is certainly the engine for this team. You see right here, again, head up. I see AZ Fudd on the left. I'm going to look at her and throw it off to Aubrey Griffin, streaking the floor.
Oriema also talked about the work ethic of Mule, puts in the time, so much pride, and now a foul going to send it back to the Blue Devils.
AZ Fudd just trying to get open here and pushes her defender in the screen. Pretty easy call for the official.
Day Wilson.
I thought she should have shot the shot on the last possession when she drove in there, too. I mean, if she's got a little bit of daylight, she's got to let it fly.
I mean, we've been wondering, when will Day Wilson's offense come around? I mean, only averaging 6 points coming into today, and she's just been the main offense for the Blue Devils here this afternoon.
And Carol Lawson talks about it, wanting Day Wilson to become the quintessential point guard, how to lead a team, how to facilitate, how to get her teammates the ball in positions to be successful. And she wasn't worried about the scoring. She knew it would come.
Well, what's around her? She doesn't need to be so worried about the scoring.
Yes.
Unless you're facing an elite defensive team.
Day Wilson just picked up her second foul, and she's going to head to the bench. Carol Lawson said that Day Wilson's goal is she wants to play for the Canadian national team in the Olympics in 2024. And she said she wasn't worried about it at all, as you mentioned, with the scoring. It's just trying to develop her as an overall player. Edwards wearing a face mask.
She took an inadvertent elbow in practice. And again, I think in this day and age, kids want to play. And so let's strap it on and let's go.
Whatever it takes. There's Taylor driving it in. Defense by Edwards.
You never want a turnover, but I'm okay with that turnover because she just rushed a little because they want to run.
Yes, want to get out and go.
Steph and I were talking about during the break. We think UConn wants this pace to pick up even more. And right now, I do believe this pace has favored Duke because it hasn't been a track meet yet, and that's when UConn excels.
I'm going to have to see that one again. Right here, you see Edwards jumping out. I don't know. She was still moving a little bit to the side. Didn't beat her to the spot. De Jesus to the spot. But I like the aggressiveness. And UConn limited on the bench, so certainly have to play a little bit more conservative in the first half to not get in foul trouble. But I like that aggressiveness by Aaliyah Edwards.
I got to say, I think what I saw in that was a post player who laterally could move as fast as a point guard.
Edwards, who just picked up her second foul, is surrounded by three Dukies. And the Hill ball. Timeout on the floor with UConn up a dozen. Thank you very much, Kevin and Rebecca. And you see AZ Fudd and Shauna Washington right behind Anissa Morrow, leading scorer in the entire country for DePaul. And this is a player that doesn't get enough love.
She does not get enough love. I mean, she quietly just averaged a double-double last season. We haven't seen double-double. I mean, Leah Boston, certainly. You think back to undersized post players, Courtney Paris, right? Anissa Morrow is a player who is just getting it done and continues to do so for Doug Bruno's squad.
DePaul with the upset over Maryland today. And Duke's three-point shooting, they started off 3 of 5. They have missed 5 of their last 6. But going to Rebecca Lobo's point, this is something we have not seen from Duke. They have not been shooting the ball from outside successfully in this young season. Shot clock dying now.
I like the change by UConn out of the timeout. Going to the zone. Aaliyah Edwards on the bench with 2 fouls. A little smaller lineup.
Now Nika Mule calming things down. Caroline Ducharme out there. Off the bench for UConn. Seneschal. Maisie Fudd has been moving non-stop.
And this is subtle, but we talked about the depth of Duke versus UConn. How's this going to look in the 4th quarter?
Right.
I mean, if Duke can keep this close and get to halftime and cut this to single digits, I think UConn, I think Duke fans will be ecstatic.
But here's the thing about UConn. They never played a lot of players, right? They always have a short bench. And now it's out of necessity because of injury, but certainly you look back at the teams that Gino Auriemma has had. They're playing 7, 8 players, heavy minutes. They just know how to win. They're efficient. And if you're Duke, you're absolutely right. You're happy right now with what you've been able to do, where you are, knocking down shots like that.
Balagoon has given Duke a really nice punch off the bench. Coach Auriemma did say that he feels like it's always something with this team, especially the last couple of years with all of the injuries. And losing Paige Beckers, she had another injury last year, out for the entire season this year because of the torn ACL. She is here in Portland, does travel with the team.
Well, I asked Gino yesterday, how have the injuries, we know how it affects minutes and whatnot, but how's it affecting? He said, we've had to be less aggressive from a defensive perspective. And that's scary to me because of how good they have been right. defensively to this point.
Well, I think you get in these situations where you've got a player like Aaliyah Edwards with 2 fouls right now. What does Duke do? They go right to the middle of the paint. They get a pull-up jumper. Balagoon then gets to the rim, so you miss your rim protector. And that's why you can't be quite as aggressive early in the ball game because you can't afford to get in foul trouble.
Griffin comes up with the offensive rebound. Seneschal called for steps.
I'd like to see Aubrey Griffin face up and take Kennedy Brown off the bounce. Right now doing a lot of back to the basket post moves. She's getting stuck down there with the basketball, but being able to face up from the high post, the elbow, and attack off the bounce.
Well, especially with this lineup, because now she should be able to space the floor.
Yes.
And get to the rim.
Ashlyn Jackson, there she is, number 3 for Duke, checking in, a true freshman from the state of Texas. DeJesus over Ducharme. Now Fudd. Griffin wanted the ball.
How many does she have to make before you find her in transition? I mean, you have to know where AZ Fudd is, and you have to know where Lou Lopez-Seneschal is.
I give AZ Fudd credit for that, though. I think everyone's stuck in the paint because she was driving the ball, and that left Lou open.
Open 3 for Jackson, who just came in. McDonald's All-American, playing her freshman year in Durham. Mule takes it right to the basket and draws a foul.
We talked about UConn wanting to push in transition, and there you see AZ Fudd getting to the paint, but no one near Lou Lopez-Seneschal, and she's going to knock that down.
And this is where Duke's got to stay connected defensively. You're in transition defense. You got to be pointing. You got to be talking. I got this, yes. I got this, instead of running straight back to the paint.
That communication piece is so important.
Jesus on the bench now after picking up her second for Duke. Jordan Oliver, the starter, comes right back in. Mule, 1 out of 2. And now Ducharme goes out. Patterson checking back in. True freshman from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Some good players have come out of that state right here.
It's a pretty good state.
Yeah, pretty good?
Yeah.
Some stuff has happened there?
Sam, who's the best player, though?
Oh, come on. Number 22 from Mount Carmel. Or Carmel. What Carmel is it?
It's actually West Lebanon, but you were close.
Shoot. Nice, Oliver. Everything looked good except Jackson couldn't finish it. Lebanon, Indiana, that's it. So we approach 30 seconds to go in the first half.
Nice.
Second chance works for Patterson.
And how's that set up? Nika Mule beats her player off the bounce, forces the rotation, and no one drops to that weak side, and Patterson's open.
Well, you talked earlier about Duke and scrambling on defense. There are multiple levels of effort. Their rotations wasn't there that time.
Now Duke gonna hold it. Shot clock off. Patterson almost forced the turnover. Taylor getting Fudd off balance and hits it. Nice. Nicely done by Celeste Taylor to end the half. But UConn goes into the locker room up by 12. Let's go over to Brooke Weisbrod, who's standing by with Coach Auriemma.
Well, you knew Duke wasn't going to make anything easy for you, but how are you liking the pace that you're playing this game?
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. I mean, I think when we're pushing it up the floor, I think we get some of our best stuff. Sometimes I think we're in a hurry, rushing around a little bit. But I thought we got defensively, I thought we did, what we wanted to do. I just think we have to take care of the ball a little bit better there in the post. We got to get AZ more involved. I think we're kind of a little bit standing around down here on offense. But other than that, I mean, it's not anything that I wasn't expecting. Let's put it that way.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
So UConn with a 41-29 lead. Let's go to the halftime report back to the studio with Kevin and Rebecca. And the game summary, Lou Lopez Seneschal, 13 points. Dave Wilson off to a great start for Duke, and you see UConn out rebounding Duke and beating them in the paint, and on the scoreboard they're beating them by a dozen as we get ready for the second half of the first of two games here. Pam Ward along with Steph White. Christy Thomas-Scuddy, Brooke Weisbrod is with us as well. Lou Lopez Seneschal, the Fairfield transfer, lighten it up.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that's my respect for this young lady. And what has impressed me today is the star, Fudd, not getting the looks. And so Lulu just says, hey, give me the rock. And she's taking what the defense gives her, rejects the on ball, takes it and does the pull-up. She is loaded when the ball hits her hand. Yes, it's a little bit of a low release, but when you're going to give her that much space, it does not matter.
It doesn't matter. You're absolutely right. And for Duke, they were hot from three early, 3 of 5 to start the ball game. Really did a good job of knocking down shots in rhythm. Just 2 of 9 since then. Though UConn turned up the defensive pressure, I look for Duke to really try to be disciplined on the offensive end. Lots of actions. They were getting looks out of a lot of their actions early in the ball game and try to get some easy looks.
And we know Carol Lawson's going to play a lot of players. I'm eager to see this second half. Does that bench shorten a little bit?
So AZ Fudd coming in back-to-back 32-point games, averaging 30 points per game. Held to just 9 in the first half, but her spacing helping to get people free, like Aaliyah Edwards, who knocks down her first shot of the second half.
And Pam, this is what you have to look for, because right now you mentioned that AZ Fudd is getting other shots. In the fourth quarter, it's going to be AZ Fudd time.
You're predicting a little breakout?
I'm predicting it.
Hey, well, I'll counter. I think Carol Lawson knows that as well.
But do Carol Lawson's players execute that? That's the question.
Taylor found a nice little seam. Rebound taken down by Lopez Seneschal. First of 2 games coming your way here. There's Fudd with that incredibly quick release, but it rimmed out. But great hustle by Griffin to tie it up.
Well, we know what AZ Fudd can do, and we're ready for her to go off. And so is Duke, because everybody is paying attention to her. 2 players go to her. Unselfish play. She hits Aaliyah Edwards for the open jumper.
But that's one of those situations where that lane line drive is hard from a help side defensive standpoint. It's got to be the low man. You can't go from the free throw line down to help on that.
Well, I don't think a Duke big can help on that
No.
when she's getting downhill up to that speed level.
Jay Wilson missing from the outside. Edwards, same spot, same result. Boy, Leah Edwards working on extending her range. That's one of the things Gina Auriemma says she will continue to improve, and she's hit a couple of them here early in the third.
And just the confidence that she's stepping up and shooting that with. Last year, she would have hesitated. She would have not shot that ball. Now she's catching it in rhythm and knocking it down.
Well, I'll challenge you. That's a benefit when you have such a short bench. You don't worry about a mistake or a miss.
Right.
Who's going to come get you?
Well, and also another year. I mean, certainly another year of experience and understanding the growth of her game and where she needs to continue to get better.
She's been playing on some Canadian national teams. She and Jay Wilson played together as well in their pre-college days. It's been a pretty good team. Seneschal, oh. The UConn Huskies flying out of the locker room. Their largest lead as they've scored the first 7 points of this third quarter.
Well, we talked about the AZ Fudd effect scoring the basketball, but this is her effect in just drawing defensive presence and making her teammates better. You see Nika Mule with a nice screen right here, but if we freeze it, look at how many people are aware of where AZ Fudd is. You've got 4 right there collapsing to her. She finds Aaliyah Edwards, who knocks down the open jumper. Every time the ball's in her hands, all eyeballs on AZ Fudd, and this time she comes over the on-ball screen. Great job. You freeze it again, you see eyeballs right here, all on AZ Fudd. What does she do? Well, she had an open shot right there. She didn't take that one, but she finds Lopez Seneschal, who continues to have the hot hand.
So Lopez Seneschal and AZ Fudd doing most of the scoring. You see 4 or 5 from 3 for Lou Lopez Seneschal. A terrific find coming up a little bit northeast of Fairfield, Connecticut, to play in Stores. 48-29. Duke looking for its first points of this half. They come in unbeaten, but UConn is their first ranked opponent of the season.
Steph, I'd like to say Dave Wilson, get a pull here.
Well, she delivered for you.
I asked and I received.
You received.
Dave Wilson, not the tallest player in the world, listed at 5'6", but has some good elevation.
And strength.
I mean, explosive.
ACC Freshman of the Year is voted on by the coaches last season. Here's Taylor. Does not have numbers, so she waits. Jay Wilson right into Aaliyah Edwards and draws the foul.
That's that next level decision making that Kara Lawson's talking about right there, over penetrating into Aaliyah Edwards, draws the foul, so certainly gets an opportunity at the foul line. But that's one of those that, you know, as you continue to develop, maybe you keep that dribble alive, you play around the baseline, you back it out, work the ball around to the other side.
I thought a hesitation there because she got Edwards off her feet, and then she could have gotten to the rim most likely. Are you responding me shaking my head when she did
Yes,
that?
yes.
That was the third personal foul on Aaliyah Edwards. She's staying in the game. Gina Auriemma has not gotten anybody up.
But we've seen that throughout the first 3 games. I mean, she's gotten in foul trouble, or Aubrey Riffin has, and he trusts them. And he kind of has to.
And he tests them. Like, how disciplined can you be when your back is against the wall?
Lopez Seneschal delivering again for the Huskies. Jay Wilson now taking it into the middle of the court. Yep, she dragged her pivot foot.
There's such a balance as a point guard of trying to make something happen and trying to do too much.
That was too much.
A little bit.
Well, particularly as a young point guard. And last year had the ball in her hands, had to create a lot. I think they're going to need her to create. But then you're right, that balance of when to create for yourself, how to create for others. How do you drive it to draw as opposed to just driving it to get to the paint, to get to the rim?
Edwards driving it and got fouled. Kennedy Brown picks up the foul. Transfer from Oregon State. We will be seeing Oregon State in our next game here. Very much looking forward to seeing that as they take on the University of Iowa. Iowa was the only team in this field coming into this weekend that had lost a game. They fell at Kansas State after having to go to overtime to beat Drake.
I gotta tell you, that was one of the most entertaining games that I have watched in a long time. It was like a heavyweight fight, just blow to blow, and credit K-State. I thought Iowa had numerous occasions to put them away, and K-State always battled back.
Iowa led for, what, 37 minutes of that ball game, and yes, K-State just had an answer every time. You hung in, certainly playing at home, then feeding off of that crowd.
That game will be over on ESPNU. About a half hour after this one ends. Trying to go for the home run, and ball goes out of bounds.
And that's, you see Gino Auriemma looking at Nika Mule right there. you got to be long, right? And that's that. You have to be able to deliver it on the money or be long and send that thing out of bounds. Don't be short.
Well, consistently, if Aubrey Griffin doesn't get the rebound, she is first person down. But Nika Mule is the only one that really is willing to make that pass.
Yes. And you see the face up again by Aaliyah Edwards. And I love Aaliyah Edwards. I think that she has played her role. She's expanding her role now with opportunity. She's grown her game. She's continued to work, and she's relentless.
Continuing to play with the 3 personal fouls. Oh, Edwards coming off an impressive double-double in the win over NC State, their last game, when UConn pulled away from the pack.
I think we make a lot of the great 5 stars that signed to go to UConn, but it's the development under Gino Auriemma that is very impressive, whether it's Nika Mule at the point position from last year to now, Ayanna Edwards. I mean, it's remarkable how much better these young players get. Not just the stars, but sometimes even the role players.
Jay Wilson off the turnover, and then UConn gets hands in the passing lane. Lopez Seneschal ran right into Jackson, made a good play initially. Duke right now in a big hole down by 22, even though she's in the Bahamas right now. We have a couple of Hall of Famers over there on the bench for the University of Connecticut, both Gino Auriemma and his assistant Chris Daly already in there, so we look forward to that announcement tomorrow. The finals will be in the Moda Center, which is where the Blazers play a little NBA basketball. Beautiful building. That actually will be on Sunday, the championships. There's an off day tomorrow. Good defense by Duke, who have only scored 3 points in this quarter, but that was a nice little flurry.
It was good defense right there. I felt like AZ Fudd passed up a shot.
Oh, absolutely, but you got to credit Duke coming out of that timeout. You got to believe Carol Lawson said, hey, we've been hanging our hat on defense. It's time to pick it up a little bit.
Mule doing Nika Mule things, just getting in the passing lane. No one in Division I is averaging more assists per game, and she's well on her way to surpassing her season average.
You know, and some people might say, well, it's because you got AZ Fudd. It's because you got Lou Lopez Seneschal. No, this is a true point guard that knows when and where to get the ball to her scores.
And she spreads the love. I mean, certainly AZ Fudd is a high-volume scorer and has been, but multiple players have been stepping up. And speaking of stepping up, Duke needed that from Ashlyn Jackson.
Last year's leader in assists will be in our second game today. Caitlin Clark led the country both in scoring and assists last year. That's another good look.
But it was the touch that Nika Mule put on that pass, because Patterson was a little slow on the roll. Mule notices it and just gives a little bit of extra air time so Patterson can come under it and go up with the ball.
Kennedy Brown heads to the bench after picking up that foul. It is her third for Duke.
Gino Auriemma told us yesterday about Patterson. He said by January, she's going to be beating her own teammates to get a rebound.
Loves her. Just plows through. This is a true freshman. She was the Big East preseason freshman of the year this season.
When you can see a lot of natural ability, certainly the athleticism, the bounce, and then you think about what you just mentioned, Christy, in terms of the development of players here at UConn, and he can already see her path.
And I got to say, I'm excited a year in the weight room.
Yeah, because already she doesn't even really look like a freshman, right?
And she's as buff as you, Pam Ward.
She is just another in a long line of great players, but not just getting because there's a lot of schools. If you go back and look at how many McDonald's All-Americans or five-star recruits, and some of them just kind of fizzle out. The fizzle rate at UConn is very low, and they usually get better.
Yeah, you don't fizzle, you leave if you're not going to be able to hack it, right?
Right, exactly. If you're a fizzler, you're gone.
Yeah.
But I also think iron sharpens iron, and I think the teammates as much are going to push you to be better as much as we talk about the coaching staff.
Absolutely, 100%, the expectation.
And I think there's some alumni pressure there as well to perform.
Yeah, there's that high level that is the pride that goes down. Sue Bird just retiring this past summer after an amazing career. Dinah Taurasi going to come back for another year.
I know, I love it.
that?
Yes.
Do you though?
I do. I love it because I think she's just fun for the game. You know, she's fun for the game, and as long as she wants to continue to play.
And she's still pretty good.
She's yeah, she's pretty good. Yeah.
So can I start this discussion of who Nika Mule reminds me of?
It's Rosati.
It's Rosati, 100%.
That is high praise indeed. One of your new bosses there, Steph.
That's right, yes.
Oh, my. Easy putt.
But it's that relentless mentality, that toughness. You know, I remember watching Jen Rosati when she was at UConn, and she got her hand on the ball all the time. And that was probably before deflections were like a thing like they are now in terms of keeping them, and just relentless on both ends.
And makes everyone around her better.
Absolutely.
And Rebecca Lobo, the National Player of the Year that year, 95, when they won the championship. But I remember that, too, just seeing Jen Rosati. Like, it seemed like there were 3 or 4 Jen Rosatis on the floor sometimes.
Yes,
and I mean this
around.
respectfully, Jen. You were a gnat on the floor.
Well, you can see it right here. I mean, just the activity level, right? The commitment, right? Making your teammates better. Good pass in transition.
Playing both ends of the floor, always.
It's just a different motor.
Yeah, constant.
And Duke plays fast. And we've seen that in their first games of the season. But I was eager to see today, could they play at the UConn pace? And consistently, they have not been able to match it today.
Balogun Balogun going over to the bench, pardon me, after the free throws.
But I want to add one thing. Carol also probably loves this. Not to be losing right now, but this is film she gets to take back and say, this is what we're talking about when we talk about pace. This is what we need to do in this situation.
Attention to detail. I mean, all of those things.
Griffin missing from the outside. It only hit a couple of threes on the season coming into this game as we approach 2 minutes to go. Here in the third quarter, UConn in control, trying to run their record to 4-0. They will play the winner of our second game coming up in the championship on Sunday.
Celeste Taylor's got to get going for Duke.
Good offensive board and putback by Lee Volker.
She's just a tough player for Duke, a glue player for them.
Sophomore in the starting lineup this season after averaging only about 2.5 points per game last year.
Yep, open.
Wide open, Ducharme with the miss. But Good work by Aubrey Griffin on the follow.
I love it that they're putting Caroline Ducharme and Azzi Fudd in that quick pin down, because every time Fudd curls, she's drawing 2 defenders, and Ducharme hasn't quite found her rhythm yet this season in terms of shooting the basketball, been hindered by that stiff neck. But that is terrific execution. And then there is Aubrey Griffin doing Aubrey Griffin things, crashing the offensive glass, getting that putback.
But it's not crashing. She was almost at the three-point line when that shot went up. That's pursuit for a rebound.
That's flying.
Yeah.
Second chance for Duke on this trip down the floor. Inside a minute now in the third. De Jesus all the way under. Jackson, contact, no foul, but the finish by Heidi. Mule guarded by Taylor. Waiting as Fudd tries to fight her way through traffic.
I felt like that time, Celeste Taylor all up on her. Nika Mule just needed to go to the rim.
Absolutely, and that's what Gino Auriemma was over there telling her. He was like, dribble past her.
So now the shot clock is off for Duke. Duke has scored only 12 points in this quarter. Good look, buried. Connecticut up 60-43 after 3 quarters of play. They're going to play the winner of our next game between Oregon State and Iowa, and the Hawkeyes are in the house. This is the place to be for both men's and women's basketball. Thank you, Brooke. There's Azzi Fudd, and yes, Caitlin Clark and Iowa going to play in the next game. That was Brooke Weisbrod, Pam Ward, Christy Thomas-Cuddy, and Steph White joining you. And isn't the Purdue men's team here too?
The Purdue men are here, and she was talking about big guys and didn't mention Zach Edey. So I'm
that's
just
why you're here.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
The only reason, Steph. Right now, it looks like UConn will be playing in the Moda Center on Sunday in one of the finals. There are 2 sides of this women's tournament. This is the Phil Knight Legacy. Ducharme. And Caroline Ducharme, you mentioned her stiff neck. She didn't play basketball at all summer because of trying to get over some injuries. So she's still working her way back in. This is Duke's biggest run of the day. They've scored the last 6 points. There's UConn basketball.
Who else, though? Lou Lopez Chinawal. And the key there is that she didn't hesitate. They made eye contact, and it was just immediate backdoor cut, and she had the spacing to deliver the pass for the easy 2.
She's knocked down jumper after jumper after jumper. So you've got to get out there. You don't want to let her get the ball, and it just opens up because who was on the backside? Azzi Fudd.
Yep. That was assist number 10 for Nika Mule.
And so
that's all
to go.
That's all?
Yeah, we've still got 9 minutes. Leading the country in assists. Jay Wilson driving on Mule. Good job to cut her off. Taylor with the shot clock into single digits. Leah Edwards, who had 8 points and hit all 3 of her shots in the third quarter, gets the rebound for the Huskies. And now Mule's going to slow it down a little bit.
Edwards takes off with the ball and just like looking back at Mule like, where are you? I was ready to run.
Yeah. Azzi. This is it, Steph. Fourth quarter. Is this Azzi Fudd time?
It is. It is. And guys, it's not just her when she gets the ball. It's the work she does before she gets the ball. It's how quick she comes off of the screen. She's slow in. She's quick out.
And how little room she needs to get the shot off. I grew up in the phone booth era. She's in the cell phone booth era.
And she's just efficient. She's efficient with every movement.
Day Wilson getting it into Balagoon. Edwards has done a good job playing with 3 fouls, and she has stayed on that number. Now underneath, trying to get some space. That's a travel.
Well, we're going to watch AZ Fudd and see how she comes off of these quick pin downs and gets her space. So here she is in the corner right now. And let's just watch as they execute offense. You see the stagger screen coming. She sets you up by kind of lulling you to sleep and just explodes off of those screens. And if you're Elizabeth Balagoon, you're that last screener. You have got to be ready to pinch out and to help.
It takes such great discipline to defend AZ Fudd. And what you're seeing is with a change of pace, as Steph has mentioned, Duke's been exploited. They've been really over-aggressive at times, and then other times they've just been playing catch-up.
Richardson, who just came into the game, took the shot. Leah Edwards has a double-double. That's her 10th rebound to go along with 11 points for the Huskies. Bud. Good defense underneath by Kennedy Brown, but they lost the ball.
You know, Steph, in the last 2 wins for UConn against NC State and Texas, I felt like for 3 quarters, UConn just went at them. And then in the 4th quarter, it was just, they had the leads, and it was just body blow, body blow. And I feel like, because we're seeing the pace slow up a little bit now, they're willing to execute in the half court. And it just really speaks to, you can't dig a hole against this team.
Yep. You can't, and this is the opportunity. And of course, you know, Gino Auriemma challenging his team in these situations. Can we execute? When we get to positions and we get to playing teams where we have to execute in the 4th quarter, this is how we learn how to do it.
AZ Fudd, there's Chris Daly, and yes, that's Paige Beckers, who's been traveling with the team.
Coach.
Assistant coach, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You think Paige claims assistant, or you think she's like, I'm the head?
She and AZ Fudd, very good friends, and some footage from November 9th in practice.
I mean, that's all arm, that's no leg, and look at that.
And that's on one leg, too.
Yes.
Right? Edwards. She is going to be more beastly as the years go by.
That was a woman among girls for that rebound. She just went up and would not be denied.
Well, and I like that execution right there by UConn. I like getting the ball to Aubrey Griffin on the elbow, allowing her to drive because it forces a rotation. It opens up the offensive rebound.
Leah Edwards already has played in 1 Olympic Games, didn't get a lot of playing time, was in Tokyo last year. Canada with a head coaching change. So a lot of good young talent. And she certainly is among those. Day Wilson, another kid from Toronto with the miss.
A lot of one-on-one ball now for Duke, and they're playing, I mean, they're settling for jump shots. And post players have been open for direct passes, and the perimeters haven't even looked to get them the ball. It makes it a lot easier to play defense against them.
Ball knocked out by Brown, picked up by Day Wilson. Taking it right to the basket, Mule. Looking up court, Edwards, unselfish to Ducharme.
Sometimes poor shot selection is just as bad as a turnover for a score, and Connecticut making Duke pay.
A missed layup on one end will lead to a layup on the other. And I love the point guard play. She's scanning throughout the extra pass for UConn.
Well, UConn has 4 starters that average double figures, but it's because of Nika Mule. She just eyes up, scanning at all times, gets to the rim, doesn't score a lot, is very selective, but you can see every time she has the ball, she is looking, where are my shooters? Who can I get it to? And of course, tenacious on the defensive end as well.
Absolutely, and it feeds to everyone. 17 buckets on 17 assists on 27 field goals. It's been obviously Nika Mule, but her teammates feed off of her and learn from her as well.
No, I mean, this is just incredible. 25 assists and 4 turnovers in the last 2 games. And you can have all the scorers in the world, but if you don't have somebody that can get them the ball in a position to be successful on time, where they can just go straight up to your shot, and Nika Mule is that for this Connecticut team.
Think of the timeline of great point guards that have come through UConn. I mean, and this was what was so impressive to me from Gino the other day. He was listing years with the point guards that he's coached, and I was like,
whoa,
I don't know what year we're in right now.
Right, exactly.
And by the way, the 15 assists that she had in their last game against NC State is a UConn record for most assists in a game, previously held by Paige Beckers. Not Sue Bird or Jen Rosati or any of the other great ones.
Now, Pam, you're just poking some bears now.
Yep. Edwards, come on.
You know that was called out of the timeout.
No question. No question. You've got the mismatch. You face up and you attack.
UConn on a 12-0 run. Their longest of the game. Edwards playing some defense. Go coast to coast. She missed the layup, but at least drew the foul.
I love the That was disappointing.
And at Beckers, I'm looking at Beckers on the bench. Edwards. She has her hand up like, come on.
No, I mean,
Edwards baited it.
Yep, she sure did.
Come on, you gotta.
Well, you were calling for that earlier in the game, just denying that high post pass. She does such a good job of using the outside hand, deflecting the ball, and then going to get it.
But I just love that she didn't use her body to deny it. She waited, and she was patient about it to get the steal.
Beckers and Fudd over on the bench. Easy, just 14 points today.
I would love to have those two mic'd up right now just to hear what they're talking about.
And Aaliyah Edwards gets a well-deserved ovation from the fans. She's had a really good game.
You know, I think when Dorothy Uhas went out with the injury, a lot of people were like, uh-oh, like that's the tipping point for this team. And credit this ball club. It's not been one person trying to fill that void. It's been a little bit here. A couple of people getting a little bit more rebounds, better defense, and obviously solid guard play.
I mean, the thing is that none of them try to play outside themselves. They all step up in the system. Well, certainly they continue. We talk so much about UConn offensively, but they are a tremendous defensive team. They get in you. They're active. They make you uncomfortable. They force you to do things that you're not used to doing. They're disciplined on the defensive end as well.
So I'll go back to this again. I think Kara Lawson, minus the loss, will love the fact that her team was tested in this way today. And now it's about maturity as young athletes to respond to the head coach.
Love might be a strong word. She might like it because it is going to be a good teaching tool. But again, you're putting a lot of pieces together.
Absolutely.
You know, you're a Duke team that has a lot of new players, 8 new players, 5 transfers, 3 freshmen, a really good freshman class. And you've got to find that balance, find that rhythm. Offensively, when they were moving, when they were cutting, when multiple players were touching the ball, they looked a lot better than going one-on-one and everyone trying to do it themselves.
It's game maturity,
It
is what I call it, because as they dug a hole, you saw the pace drop off significantly. And I'm also clapping for that young lady.
Heading over with her 10 assists on the afternoon. And by the way, Lou Lopez Seneschal, excuse me, a new career high in scoring after she had 20 points against NC State, her then career high in the last game, all of them coming in the second half.
Yeah.
Duke has been stuck on 45 points for a while now. Let's go over to 2 other venues here in Portland. North Carolina, #1 team on the men's side, is losing to Iowa State. Lead extended now to 5 with just 18 seconds left to go at Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Day Wilson at the free throw line. Duke just 2 points in this quarter. They will play again against the loser of our next game, Oregon State and Iowa, on Sunday. And then their next game after that will be against Northwestern. Ines Betancourt, number 21 in blue, her first appearance. She is a true freshman from Portugal. UConn awaits the winner of our second game today. They'll play over at the Moda Center on Sunday. That is a foul. Balagoon grabbed Patterson.
Well, we talked about everyone else that's stepping up for UConn, and you look at the numbers right there. Lou Lopez-Seneschal, that career-high 23 points. Look at how efficient. Aubrey Griffin, Nika Mule, Aaliyah Edwards, another double-double. I mean, this is just a team that no matter the adversity, the blows, and just when you think that they could possibly be down and out, everyone rises to the occasion, and they do it collectively and efficiently. And then you see players like Patterson who are now getting minutes, who are getting experience. Caroline Ducharme trying to get back into a game rhythm, back into a game flow. This is how you build depth throughout the season so that come NCAA tournament time, you're not playing just 7 players.
Well, I think we saw that South Carolina-Stanford the other day. I mean, some of it was by necessity that Dawn Staley decided to go to her bench, but I see it all the time with South Carolina blowing out teams, and then come March, you're seeing some of these role players step up in a big way come tournament time.
Absolutely.
And for Duke, I'm eager to see who's going to step up from a leadership perspective. I've watched after turnovers or fouls or missed shots, they're not gathering, and that's a concern for me. Like, you got to scrap a scoreboard at some point and be like, hey, this is who we're going to be. And that's the player I'm looking for to step up right now for the Blue Devils.
Well, you can just see right there in that possession how out of sync Celeste Taylor is. I mean, that's a turn and shoot at that free throw line jumper.
Chancy pass. Griffin was able to gather. Ball goes over to the Blue Devils. Trailing by 30. They are about to absorb their first loss of the season. They'll fall to 5-1.
You know, stuff I always say, especially like come January, February, teams will play their record. Teams will also play the scoreboard, and that's the sign of a mature team. And again, this is not me unloading on Duke. The potential is there. I think there's a lot of great pieces for the Blue Devils. But now, how are you going to respond after this? And that's what I don't think it should be waiting for tomorrow. And this is the coach in me. You don't wait for tomorrow's practice. It starts now of let's regroup and be better.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, you need to play some of these games to expose yourself, right? Where are we getting exposed? How do we need to grow? Now, and Carol Lawson's still trying to find the rotations. A lot of new pieces. Who can play well together? You know, who do we need to play in certain situations when we need stops, when we need scores, when teams are playing a zone, when teams are big, when teams are small, just trying to figure out those rotations with all of these new pieces.
And we talk a lot about the players and what they have to do, but this is still learning for coaches, as you just mentioned, and still learning how physical you can be if you're Patterson.
Right. Duke won't have to wait long to play. Again, they'll take on the loser of our second game today on Sunday. Look down their bench. Kennedy Brown heading out to the bench. Duke shooting just 33% from the floor. Connecticut at 51%. There's the first buried shot by Day Wilson in a while. Got off to a quick start with a couple of threes.
When that shot, she was on balance. She had her feet underneath her. She was able to use that elevation.
Balagoon called for the foul for Duke. Sending Amari DeBerry to the line. Sophomore from Williamsville, New York. Aubrey Griffin, the only starter out there right now for the Huskies. And Edwards and Fudd chilling for the rest of the game.
And I gotta believe at this point, because we talk a lot about scheduling, and trust me, I think it's so hard for coaches in this day and age of the transfer portal, because you don't know what you're gonna have, because these schedules are made 2 years in advance usually. But I just think UConn had such a huge advantage because of their 3 previous games to have Texas, a highly gifted defensive team, and we saw how they handled them, and then an NC State team, and then again, Duke played Texas A&M. They played Toledo, but still not the caliber of what UConn has faced to this point.
And I think we saw that too yesterday in our game with Michigan State. They came in unbeaten and had a tough day.
The whole bench wanted her to shoot it.
Iowa and Oregon State coming up, top of the hour on ESPNU. Ball stays with Duke. The Duke Blue Devils fall to UConn 78-50. Double-double for Aaliyah Edwards, another double-digit assist game for Nika Mule. And Duke, we knew it would be a tough afternoon for Duke, and that's exactly what it turned out to be.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this is a Connecticut team that is playing very good basketball right now, and we heard Rebecca Lobo talk about not just, you know, a Final Four caliber team, but AZ Fudd playing at a National Player of the Year level, and it was a tremendous challenge for Duke. And certainly if you're Kara Lawson, you want to go back to the film, you want to look and see where are the areas that we can shore up and move on and continue to get better as this season progresses. I mean, they're not playing for November, right? They're playing for March, but certainly taking every opportunity that they can to evaluate and to grow.
And I think if you're a UConn fan, all we've talked about was AZ Fudd after the first 3 games, but this is a team that you have to deal with. You can take the high score away. It does not matter. The rest of the team responds.
Yeah, very impressive team victory. Let's go back over to Brooke, who's got Gino.
Coach, what does it say about your defense to hold Duke to single digits in the 4th quarter?
Well, our defense was really, really good. I thought especially the way we helped and closed up some gaps that they were trying to get into the lane. And they helped too. You know, I mean, they missed a lot of shots. But it's something that we've taken great pride in. You know, this is 4 games into the season now, and I think our defense has been pretty good all 4 of those games. And we, you know, we have to play great defense. We got like, I don't know, 50, 60 points on the bench that can't play. And so we got to do everything we can to, so I'm really proud of these guys today. You know, it's a long week, and they're playing a lot of minutes, so I'm really happy for them.
You'll play for the championship tomorrow, and I heard you screaming at your guys, we have to get those rebounds, so there's not a miscoaching moment. You know, what do you need to tune up before tomorrow?
Well, we are kind of like 2 different teams, because we offensive rebounded the heck out of the ball in the second half, and we didn't do any of that in the first half. So, you know, we're like, you know, Jekyll and Hyde kind of team. But when we set our mind to it, whatever it is we set our mind to do, this group usually gets it accomplished. So they just need a little reminder. Otherwise, my AD's sitting right behind me. He's going to stop paying me if I don't say something.
Send him a reminder. Always good. Thanks, Coach, and we'll bring Lou in. Pretty decent afternoon for you from behind the line today. How did that ball feel coming off your fingertips?
I just, coming from last game, having like a rougher first half, I just like try to get my confidence back and shooting when I'm open, and if it goes in, it goes in.
What do you say to yourself after some of those rough games to get your confidence back?
I've been playing basketball for a long time, so I just, want to like have the next play mentality and just keep shooting, and I have the trust and confidence from my coaches and the team, so that always helps.
How much fun is it playing for this UConn squad right now?
It's so much fun. The girls are amazing. I mean, I've been with them since June, and it's amazing. I love it.
All right, congratulations. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. And shout out to Drew if you're watching that.
Boy, what a story coming from Fairfield up to UConn and thriving back-to-back career-high scoring games, 23 today for Lou Lopez Seneschal. And I don't think that Gino has to worry about his AD. With the win today, he is now 1,003 games above 500 in his career.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I think they should keep him. Let's take a look. UConn with a convincing win this afternoon. They will play the winner of Iowa-Oregon State on Sunday. And we have Iowa-Oregon State coming up on ESPNU. So for Christy, Steph, and Brooke, I'm Pam Ward. We'll see you later on ESPNU. Let's head back to the studio.